we continue our series in order to write data from ESP32 in ESP IDF framework to MySQL database. In previous videos, we created the ESP32 file project, ESP IDF project, only the directory, and created the file for the NodeJS server inside Express framework. In this video, we will establish the NodeJS server and we will establish a MySQL database on the PC. Our starting point will be our Node.js file, which we started in the previous video. And also inside GitHub Sims IoT devices, we opened the MySQL ESP IDF. And here we have a Node.js file. We will copy this file. Okay. Our next step is to install the Express in our project. So now we are here in our Node.js directory, and we will run pm Now we'll be creating the Express for our project. Meanwhile, if you look here, we will use in our Node.js middleware two libraries: the Express library, which we're installing right here, and also MySQL library. Okay, let's check what we have here. We have the models of Express installed. The next step will be install MySQL here to complete it. Let's do it. Okay. Here, our purpose is to connect between the data inside Node.js file, Node.js server, and the MySQL Workbench, the MySQL database. We have to match those definitions in order to enable the server, Node.js server, to connect to MySQL database. So at the beginning, we will create an instance here, and we will call it new instance. In order to check that this can be created correctly, we will test the connection. We are required to enter password, which we have defined during the Workbench installation. I will write this password. Okay, and now the connection is successful. This is a very crucial thing to check it, because without the successful connection we cannot continue. Okay, now we'll create the instance and enter the instance. Now I see all the schemas, all the databases that we have in the local computer. We'll create a new schema, call it with appropriate name, and apply. The Workbench translates the command to the MySQL language. We can also write it down in the editor here. We'll do apply, finish, and we see that this command was successfully performed. Now let's create a table inside dbv1. Create table. We will call it table v1. Let's open it just to make it a little bit clearer. This is the name of the table inside the dbv1 schema, and we want to define two columns. The first one is time, which will be the primary key, and the other will be data, which is a varchar that we have defined those fields correctly. It's time and data, and here we use yeah, time and data, so it's okay. We will hit apply, finish. This command was also successfully performed. Now we can check if the server is running correctly. I will open a terminal and write node app nodejs.js, and we see that we have an error. When we will look what starting the error, we see that the access was denied because this password doesn't match the MySQL Workbench password. We have to update this password to the correct one. So I will update my password to the correct one. Let's try the same again with the correct password. Okay, and now the connection is working. We see here that NodeJS is listening on port 8085. This is this line, start listening. We see that it is connected, and we have a current time, which is represented in mils. The very important thing in MySQL, because it's an SQL database, is to define the primary key. The time, every time, have to be different. It have to be a new field. If we will have in primary key the same field and we try to save it inside the SQL database, it will cause an error. So in order to make it a new field every time, I choose to use a time, which will always be different. So in this video we created a Node.js server which is listening on the following port. We also created an MySQL database. Inside our instance, we created the schema, the database db-v1. And in the next video, we will examine the ways to test them. Thank you.